Good morning. Can everyone hear me with the mics at this level? That's good. Well, welcome to the site of the New Groves Hospital, and as you see behind me, a lot has happened in the 14 months since we all gathered here last for a groundbreaking ceremony. And this is truly a remarkable moment. It's celebrating the topping off of the New Groves Hospital, our future home for patients serving our residents in Centre Wellington. Topping off marks a symbolic completion of the structural phase of the building, and I'm happy to say that we are on track to be moving our patients and staff in there in the spring of 2020. 14 months has gone by since we hit the ground, and 14 months ahead of us will mark when we get handed the keys, when substantial completion will be achieved. Currently, the hospital is 52% complete, so everything is on track, and Ellis Don's been a great partner to work with our design teams. The hospital is about 50% larger than our current site that serves our community, but our community is growing, and we're going to fill that space very quickly, and we've strategically grown departments such as our emergency department, diagnostic imaging, ambulatory care, and even our maternal newborn space. We hit almost 500 births last year in our community, and that's it's great to have a vibrant community, and we know the New Groves Hospital will play a part in that vibrancy, along with our staff, our volunteers, our physicians, and our volunteer board members. We're very pleased to have a number of distinguished individuals with us today, and I'm looking at you, but there's three in particular I would like to acknowledge. The Honourable Monte McNaughton, the Ontario Minister of Infrastructure. Ted Arnott, our MPP for Wellington, Halton Hills. And Michael Chong, our MP for Wellington, Halton Hills as well. Minister McNaughton is a lifelong Conservative and community leader. He's the three-term MPP for Lambton, Kent, Middlesex, and he was sworn in as Ontario's Minister of Infrastructure in June of 2018. He's previously served in a number of numerous critic positions, most notably as official opposition critic for economic development. Very fitting for today's event. Growing up in Newbury in rural southwestern Ontario, Monte has learned the value of hard work and community service by working in his family business. We're very honored and pleased to have Minister McNaughton here to celebrate this milestone and to deliver a few remarks.
Great. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. I'm very honored to be here today at the future site of the new Groves Memorial Community Hospital. Thank you to Groves and to Ellis Don for hosting us here today. What a backdrop. It's great to be standing right in the midst of an active construction site. I have to say, I just toured, as you all know, part of the hospital, and the Centre Wellington community is going to be very happy when this hospital opens. You know, this visit feels a bit like spending time with an old friend, and that's because I've been hearing about this project for many years in the legislature from your local MPP, Ted Arnott. Ted has been a huge advocate for this hospital. You're lucky to have him as your representative. It's funny, and I didn't tell Ted that I was going to say this, but I was actually a legislative page as a teenager in 1991 at Queen's Park. I actually fetched MPP Arnott his water during question period a number of times. And now here we are almost 30 years later. Ted really hasn't changed that much, and it makes me wonder, was Ted 15 years old when he was elected as MPP? Ted, thank you again very much for all your advocacy with this project. I also want to thank Michael Chong for your dedication to the people here in this community, and on a personal note, for all the advice that you've given me. I'm only 100 days into this job, but you've been very helpful in my role as infrastructure minister, so thank you very much. For people in the Centre Wellington community, your new hospital will be bigger, brighter, and better than the one before. More people will have faster access to modern healthcare options, closer to home. More space for emergency room care, newer technology, better infection control, space for more inpatients, and an on-site helipad. So congratulations to all of you. This facility will improve care in your very own community. Although I'm new to the position of Minister of Infrastructure, I'm no stranger to the file. I was inspired to public service by the example of my grandfather, Jack McNaughton, who served for more than a quarter century as reeve of my hometown in Newbury, about 200 kilometers southwest of here. Jack made a huge impact on my life and left a huge legacy in our community. And much of that legacy endures because of his work making our local hospital, the Four Counties Hospital, a reality. So the significance of your achievement here in getting the new Groves Memorial Hospital off the ground is not lost on me. Jack passed away before I could ever meet him, but to this day, his tireless commitment to improving our community served as an example that I try to follow. You know, some people have said that I'm the luckiest member of our PC caucus, having been appointed Minister of Infrastructure. They joke sometimes that I'm the Minister of Good News. And there's no doubt that there's actually something to that. We know that infrastructure investment has a positive impact on our economy. A recent study by the Centre for Spatial Economics highlighted some of these benefits. The study found that every dollar invested in infrastructure results in up to $6 in long-term economic benefits. Mom and pop shops, that's money spent in our family-owned businesses in our local economy. I grew up working in my parents' building supply store, stocking shelves, greeting customers, being there to help people. Growing up in a small building supplies business means the benefits of infrastructure investment are very real to me. And they're real to the roughly 180 workers on site today. I'm lucky to have met a few of you. We have Scott from G&A Masonry and Jason from Modern Niagara, who gave me a good rundown of their work here and what it entails. It's good people doing important work, and I have a lot of respect for all of you, so thank you very much. To realize many of these economic benefits, it's important to ensure we invest in the right infrastructure at the right time and in the right place. When done right, investments in infrastructure can help to lower business costs and attract more business to Ontario. And I don't know if you've heard, but Ontario is open for business again. Our government has been on the job for just over 3 months, already forged ahead on several fronts, including an announcement last week by our Premier and Minister of Health. We are cutting hospital wait times and ending hallway health care by creating long-term care beds over the next 5 years. That is good news for the people right here in Centre Wellington. We want to continue to work with the private sector in order to deliver vital infrastructure like the Groves Memorial Community Hospital. As with this hospital, government has used the public-private partnership approach, or P3 model. The provincial government's agency, Infrastructure Ontario, has demonstrating the value of partnering with the private sector to get these projects done while protecting taxpayers from added costs that are common in large, complex projects. Our government is a strong supporter of this model. Having the flexibility to use both the P3 model and more traditional approaches to deliver infrastructure projects such as hospitals, courthouses, jails, roads, and transit is critical. It's simply about using the right tool for the right job. Working strategically with private sector on these types of projects will stimulate growth and prosperity across our province, and also create and support good jobs in all sectors of our economy, including manufacturing, construction, and those within the high-tech industry. That's why we are looking for opportunities to engage the private sector even more, much like we are doing to expand access to natural gas across our rural communities and to deliver new OPP detachments across Ontario. Our government is committed to restoring trust and accountability in government. This means being economically prudent, ensuring taxpayers' dollars are invested wisely. But at the same time, we are moving ahead systematically with many critical infrastructure projects that make sense and that are vital to communities across the province. We are working with Infrastructure Ontario to develop a robust pipeline of approved projects that will reflect our government's priorities and commitment to investing in important public infrastructure. Infrastructure is truly for the people. It's the hospitals our children are born in and where we take our elderly parents to, the schools our children learn in, the recreation centers we skate in, and the roads that take us to and from and our loved ones. I'm thrilled to be here today to help mark this important milestone in the development of the new Groves Memorial Hospital. You're going to have more beds, more private rooms, a nicer, lighter environment, better diagnostic equipment, larger emergency room. So I want to say congratulations to the whole community, to Groves Memorial Community Hospital and to Ellis Don. I want to congratulate you on surpassing the 50% mark on the construction status of the hospital, and I wish you continued success as you work towards completion. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you, Minister McNaughton. I'd now like to introduce you to our very own Honourable Ted Arnott. And Ted, I first met when I arrived in the community in 2011, the summer that this project was approved. And as MPP for Wellington, Halton Hills, Ted has always been a very persistent and effective advocate for our rural communities and the values that we share. He strongly supports our local healthcare services, and he's been a fierce advocate and supporter of this new Groves Hospital. He's worked across party lines to push for the new hospital and stood with us during each construction milestone. Once the youngest MPP in the Ontario PC caucus, he's now one of the longest serving members. And today, Ted serves as Speaker of the Ontario Legislative Assembly, and he also serves as PC critic to the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Ted.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Good morning, everyone. What a glorious day to come together for this special event. It's wonderful to be here and great to see all of you as we gather again to mark yet another milestone in the construction of our new Groves Memorial Community Hospital. If you've been watching the Ontario Legislature channel in recent weeks, you will believe me when I say I am glad to be home. While my role at Queen's Park is no longer a partisan one, I don't know how anyone could question my being here today as your MPP to extend my sincere thanks to all of you. You know, Dr. Abraham Groves, upon his passing, left his hospital to our community so many years ago, but he also bequeathed to us his vision of community-based, compassionate, and caring healthcare, animated by the twin values of working together as a team and always putting patients first. That vision continues to inspire all of us today, but most of all, it inspires the staff and volunteers who are associated with Groves Hospital. Yesterday, I picked up a new book written by our former Governor General, David Johnston. In fact, it just came out yesterday. The book is called Trust, 20 Ways to Build a Better Country. David Johnston writes that trust is the bedrock of democracy, but laments the fact that trust is not thriving in democracies today, including our own. To me, that's an understatement. He tells us that leaders and aspiring leaders must make themselves worthy of trust, must seek to build trust around them, and must work to create a trustworthy and trusted country. Simple and eloquent concepts, simply and eloquently stated. But why is it that these ideas seem so old-fashioned today? Why does an esteemed former Governor General feel it necessary to write a book about this? Why does trust seem so elusive in our world today? Last night, as I was reading the book, it struck me that for the staff and volunteers of Groves Memorial Community Hospital, at least, trust isn't an issue. Trust has been earned over the decades. For Groves, trust is a given. In Centre Wellington, we've been committed to health quality indicators since Dr. Groves started his practice in 1871, even though we didn't call it that. We've been doing healthcare integration before the government even invented the term. We were putting patients first before anybody used that expression at Queen's Park. So, in Groves, we trust. And that trust has led to an absolutely extraordinary community effort, first to advocate for our new hospital, now to support its construction, soon to equip it, and eventually to see it open its doors and begin to serve patients here on this new site. This project was first approved in the fall of 2011 by the former provincial government. From the beginning, we refused to allow it to become a political football because the local health care of our residents is too important for that. We set partisan politics aside and worked across party lines to get this done. In the past 7 years, since our hospital project was approved, so much has been asked and so much has been accomplished. There are so many to thank. Successive ministers of health over many years, representing all political parties. My colleagues in elected public service at the County of Wellington and the Township of Centre Wellington and their predecessors, and I'm pleased to see that our Mayor Kelly Linton is here with us today. The Waterloo Wellington Local Health Integration Network and the staff of the Ministry of Health and Infrastructure Ontario for their professional assistance. My own staff at our riding and Queen's Park offices over the years, and I'm glad that Judy Brownrigg is here with us today as well from my riding office. But our deepest gratitude must be extended to the staff of the Groves Memorial Community Hospital, our dedicated and energetic volunteer association, the board, the foundation, our donors, indeed the entire community, everyone in our catchment area for your patience and perseverance, which has brought us to this day. This morning, we've seen the progress that's been made. Touring the site today, I've been so impressed by the innovation, the thoughtfulness, and the collaboration which is evident in every aspect of the design and the construction. On the weekend, we celebrated Thanksgiving with our families. Today, let us give thanks for our new hospital, soon to be completed, and the amazing community we call home, making it all possible. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you very much, Ted. And I think those words reflect a great representative of our riding. And I couldn't have reflected on the years of service that so many of you who are with us today have contributed to this site. And I just want to thank you again, Ted, for all the work that you've done for us. I'd now like to introduce Michael Chong, our federal member of parliament, who represents Wellington Halton Hills. Mr. Chong has been chair of several House of Commons standing committees, Industry, Science and Technology, Canadian Heritage, Official Languages, and he was recently appointed by Conservative leader Andrew Scheer as the official opposition's shadow minister for infrastructure, communities and urban affairs. Welcome, Michael.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here to commemorate the halfway point in the completion of the new Groves Hospital. In particular, I want to recognize the province of Ontario and Minister McNaughton for their continued support for the construction of this new hospital. Also, I'd like to recognize Ted Arnott, who has tirelessly worked over the last 15 years to advocate for the construction of this hospital. Ted's support for this hospital began over 15 years ago when the new hospital was being proposed, and he has tirelessly, through approaching ministers, moving motions, writing letters, rising in the Ontario legislature, advocated for this hospital. And so, Ted, thank you for that continued advocacy, that work over many, many years, over a decade's worth of work that has allowed us to arrive at this point today. I'd also like to recognize the staff, the board, the management at the hospital for their management of this project, for seeing it through. And I'd like to recognize all the volunteers and community support. This hospital, the existing hospital, the new hospital, would not happen without the support of the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and financial supporters of Groves Memorial Hospital. This community has been blessed by a lot of people who have come out over many, many decades to ensure that this hospital remained viable, who've raised millions, tens of millions of dollars for the operation and construction costs of the existing hospital and the new hospital. So a big shout out to them. Let's give them all a big round of applause, because without those volunteers, it just wouldn't happen. Finally, I'd like to say this physical building behind us is just the latest in an iteration of some 147 years of healthcare leadership here in the community. We've got a long, proud tradition of healthcare leadership. In fact, as Ted mentioned, it was Dr. Abraham Groves who in 1871 planted his flag in Fergus, Ontario. He was a recent graduate of the University of Toronto Medical School, and he became a leader in healthcare, in surgery, and sterilization techniques. In fact, it was Dr. Abraham Groves that performed the first successful appendectomy in North America, right here in Fergus, Ontario. It was his research and his knowledge of new techniques that allowed that to happen. And in his later years, he established the first hospital in Fergus, the Royal Alexandra Hospital, in 1902. When he passed on in 1935, he gifted that hospital to the people of this community. That hospital was later rebuilt as the existing Groves Memorial Community Hospital. And so today we now have the latest iteration of that, a new Groves Hospital that will continue that some 150 years of healthcare leadership serving this community and beyond. So congratulations to everybody involved in this project, and I look forward to the successful completion of this hospital. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Michael. So there's a few other people we'd just like to acknowledge. Jeff McKay and his team at Ellis Don and various subcontractors. They make this building look like it's going up very easy. And we know the monumental work that goes into making that happen. And along with Dale Clement and the hospital team, who are equally committed to working together to find a solution that works for all of us. And our partners at the Ministry of Infrastructure Ontario and the township and the county. And the support of our board and the volunteers. Our board and building committee have worked tirelessly for thousands of hours over the years, and that just again speaks to the passion that this community has to support our foundation as we get closer to our local share. I think we're under $3 million away from hitting that milestone, which is great for a community of our size. So I'd now like to call I would like to thank Alison Armstrong, who is the miracle worker that brought the weather with us today. And now I'd like to call up for those designated individuals to do the ceremonial bollard signing.
Sign on this side? Yeah. There you go. I like your printing.
Yeah, no.
Trying to find a lot of text then, right?
Well,
No.
probably not.
Yeah.
It's funny if I look back. One specific screw this thing like a doctor.
Yeah. That's a great story about Dr. Groves. First appendectomy.
Yeah, the first successful.
There's lots of unsuccessful.
Yeah.
For the people who died.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. Painful.
That's crazy. I've heard it.
I've always been a back row camera